Sukuna just beat Gojo. He's transformed into his true form, and now he has to fight all of the sorcerers left. The bad thing for Sukuna is he's pretty weakened from his fight with Gojo. If we took away the nerfs, this Sukuna would obviously win. But instead of it being true form Sukuna without the nerfs, how about we switch him with a fresh 15 Finger Sukuna? Could he still survive the Sukuna Raid? Well, in this video, I'm going to provide you guys with an answer. Without wasting any more time, let's get into it. So first, I think it's important to outline what 15 Finger Sukuna would have over the true form Sukuna that we actually see in the Sukuna Raid. We'll do this in a list of nerfs that true form Sukuna has at the start of the battle. So first of all, Sukuna got that special brain rot from Gojo's domain, which essentially affected Sukuna the whole raid, which led to him being unable to use Malevolent Shrine. His RCT is sluggish, his curse energy levels are around the same as Yuta's, he's holding back, and his output is nerfed. These were the debuffs Sukuna had on him after the Gojo fight. And later on in the Sukuna Raid, he gets weakened even more, especially by Yuji, but we're only taking into account how Sukuna was when the raid started. Now, if it were 15 Finger Sukuna, he'd be weaker in finger amount, but he wouldn't have any of these restrictions. He can use domain. His slashes would be full output. He wouldn't be affected by Unlimited Void. He'd have full RCT. He won't be holding back. His curse energy reserves would be full, which should be immense, considering that when Yuta saw Sukuna fighting, he said Sukuna's CE level was about twice his amount, which maybe isn't exactly the case with 15 Finger Sukuna, but it should be close enough because bro is almost at full strength. Like 5 fingers probably isn't going to be the make or break of this fight. So with that being said, I'm going to break down every fight individually that true form Sukuna went through. So for example, the first round would be Hajime, second round Higuruma and Yuji, and so on. Now one thing that I forgot to mention is despite 15 Finger Sukuna coming in fresh with no nerfs, he is going to have one negative, which is no world slice. Obviously 15 Finger Sukuna didn't have the world slice, so we will not be giving him that. Only things he's gonna have is what he showed in Shibuya. So for the first round, it's going to be 15 Finger Sukuna versus Curse Technique Kashimo. Now Kashimo was struggling against a super weakened Maguna who was missing a hand and an eye, and he still wasn't blitzing Sukuna or didn't even seem to be posing too much of a problem until he used his lightning strike. So if that Maguna can react and dodge to some of Kashimo's attacks, then a fresh 15 Finger Sukuna could do it too easily. The few hits Kashimo got in on Sukuna were off guard. So for example, the first one was off guard because he didn't expect Kashimo to speed up, and the second one was because Sukuna's vision got blocked by the debris of Kashimo's blast. A fresh Sukuna definitely would just be dancing on Kashimo like true form was. And even the lightning strike doesn't pose a threat to 15 Finger Sukuna because he has his RCT fully available. So even if the lightning hits Sukuna, it doesn't pose a threat because he could just heal it back easily. That's even assuming Kashimo survives long enough to get off a lightning strike. But yeah, in conclusion, Sukuna just runs circles around Kashimo, ultimately just beating him by any way he prefers. Now we have round 2, which is Higuruma and Yuji versus Sukuna. I think this will play out pretty similarly to how it did in the manga, in the sense that Sukuna's gonna be testing them, but in this instance we're not gonna have Sukuna holding back. Even though he's curious to see what the sorcerers could do, he's gonna be more willing to delete them if they don't impress him fast enough. So Higuruma summons his domain. Sukuna admits he is guilty, but the domain only takes away his cursed tool given by Yorozu. So by the way, just so there isn't any confusion, I'm not saying 15 Finger Sukuna has this cursed tool, but I'm just saying he does, because if we swap him with true form Sukuna, Urame regardless is going to drop him the tool. So that's the reason why I'm saying that. Since this Sukuna can use domain and his output is much higher, his slashes just go through everyone. Kusakabe against true form, who is holding back, output decreased, and his slash got nullified a little bit by Kusakabe's defense, said he almost died. Now imagine a Sukuna with full output. These guys are absolutely screwed against the King of Curses. Like against true form Sukuna, Higuruma and Kusakabe literally just had light cuts on their body. If Sukuna had full output and was going all out, these guys would be done. But since there is a difference in fingers, I'm not just gonna say that they completely get one-shotted, but Kusakabe is gonna get injured pretty badly and essentially get out of the fight. Higuruma is the same, but his will and talent will carry him through the pain. Then the others join the fight: Yuji, Choso, and Ino. Sukuna is gonna remember how disappointed he was when Yuji lost to Choso, and he's gonna press Choso as hard as he can, which is going to lead Choso to a fate similar similar to how it happened originally. Sukuna blitzes him and just punches a hole through his body, and as Sukuna throws Choso's body away, he just slices him up, completely eliminated Choso from the equation because Sukuna already found him born. Then Ino is going to try to attack Sukuna with Nanami's technique. Sukuna finds it disrespectful that Ino is just using a phony version of Nanami's technique, and in a weird way, Sukuna respected Nanami. Because of this, Sukuna is just gonna slip Ino's attack, grab him by the face, and just dismantle Ino. As this happens, Yuji and Higuruma try to simultaneously attack Sukuna, and he just sends slashes their way. Yuji doesn't get affected too much because his gauntlets have been almost like a shield for him and are very effective, but Higuruma was already injured, and this put Higuruma on his last legs. Sukuna starts to bully Higuruma, throwing him around and stuff. Yuji is trying to stop him, but gets hit with a dismantle on his stomach, until eventually we get a scene like we did in the manga, where Sukuna is telling Higuruma to use RCT. Higuruma is able to successfully do it, and as he goes to attack Sukuna, bro just gets blitzed and minced. Simple as that. I could just imagine Sukuna doing that and saying something like, I guess he could do it, and just moving on like the cold character that he is. Yuji comes back healed, and as Sukuna's about to start fighting Yuji, round 3 arrives. Yuji and Yuta versus Sukuna. Now, one thing that is kind of weird in this fight is that against True Form Sukuna, their main goal is that Yuji can seize the soul. So they're trying to get Sukuna cornered and let Yuji get some hits in. But this 15-finger Sukuna, as we know, is in Yuji's body. So I think it doesn't make sense to get rid of that plot point of them separating Sukuna and Megami's soul. So instead of it being Yuji Kuna, it's just going to be 15-finger Sukuna and Megami's body without 10 Shadow. This way we still sort of keep the essential elements of the fight while it being as realistic as we can make it. So Yuta pulls up, tries to throw hands to 15-finger Sukuna for a bit, and summons Domain, as Yuji joins up to jump Sukuna. True Form Sukuna in the original fight is aware they're trying to seize his soul, so 15-finger Sukuna should also come to that same conclusion, and he's going to approach this fight way differently than True Form did. He's going to do what Yuta feared the most, which is Domain expansion. Sukuna will open Domain and clash with Yuta's. Now, Yuta is nowhere near as experienced as Gojo in Domain battles, so Sukuna should be overpowering his Domain pretty easily. And I'm aware Yuta did improve his barrier abilities, but even in Gojo's body, it was obvious he was so inexperienced. So him normally, without the 6 eyes, who has a worse barrier technique than Gojo, shouldn't stand a chance against Sukuna's brutal Domain expansion. Rika, Yuta, and Yuji are ultimately overwhelmed by Sukuna's Domain, which is perfectly consistent since they both admitted under normal circumstances they should have been one-shotted by Sukuna's slashes, but since he's hella nerfed, they didn't get one-shotted. But also later on in the original fight, when True Form activates Domain, I mean, that was just a game ender. If the others didn't have a way to get out of the Domain and Yuji didn't have Choso, the series would have been just done right there. So in this instance against 15-finger Sukuna, Yuji and Yuta are most likely done. Now on to round 4, Maki versus Sukuna. This time, she isn't gonna be able to sneak Sukuna, and she probably got caught in the Domain's radius. Even if she does get out, now she can't sneak him, and it's a face-to-face battle, which is worse for her, because originally, she was able to damage Sukuna's heart, and that nerfed him a decent amount. Even if she somehow got close to Sukuna, the sneak attack wouldn't work, because there's an author statement literally saying that under normal circumstance, in reference to Sukuna, he would have been able to avoid the sneak attack. But in that instance, he probably couldn't because of all the debuffs. So regardless, whichever way you look at it, Maki's getting cooked. Now I do think out of everyone else, so far she has the best chances because of her vision. She can dodge the slashes. But this is essentially a full power Sukuna with no nerfs. She still doesn't stand a chance against him. After this, Sukuna would have just cooked everyone. I don't think anyone else would step in. Yuta can't go in Gojo's body because he was in the Domain and just got minced. Miguel only wanted to fight Sukuna when he was basically like one shot, so he's definitely not coming to help. There's no point in Toto coming in. Everything basically ends for the cast if Sukuna wasn't nerfed. And that's just us talking about 15-finger. Imagine 20-finger Sukuna with no nerfs. Yeah, they really never stood a chance. And Urarame was low-key spinning. They just got lucky. But I don't want to end the video off like that. I'm going to give you guys an extra round just because I did a community post on it. You guys seem to like the topic. So for the last and final round, we'll do 15-finger Sukuna versus versus Yuta and Gojo's body. Now, Yuta actually has a chance here because the Sukuna we're using doesn't have World Slash. But the big problem is Yuta is missing out on a lot of experience. It's something that was consistently highlighted while he was in Gojo's body. And he was getting pressed by a true form Sukuna that's been nerfed over and over again. Imagine a fresh Sukuna. It's really not fair. It's clear that there is a huge mismatch in skill, and it just ends with Sukuna winning the domain clash and taking a dub over Yuta and Gojo's body. Now, I do think that if Yuta is able to pull off a purple, that could definitely do some damage to Sukuna, because even the true form Sukuna was kind of scared. Like, when he was thinking about purple, he was like, oh wait, hold on, bro, I need to tee up. So that's the best thing that Yuta could do. But in everything else, to me at least in the manga, it was just painfully obvious that they were just like, yeah, you just couldn't handle Gojo's body. Like, Gojo was extremely skilled. You are not on that level. Now, the last thing I want to bring up is that if Sukuna really wanted to, bro, he could have just have everyone jump him and just... If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. If there are any video ideas you have, make sure to drop them in the comments. And if I do your idea, you will be shouted out in that video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.